I attended Government College Umuahia from 1974 to 1979.
You can put it in context if you imagine when we started. It was a year after the war, and things were really very bad. But for us 11-year-olds, we were thinking about the future.
The school not only gave me solid educational foundation, gave me solid grounding in discipline.
At that time, Government College Umuahia had a lot of its tradition and a lot of its history. But as I have found out working on this project to restore Government College Umuahia, the glory days of Government College Umuahia were actually beginning to fade by the time I went, even though we still caught most of it.
Government College taught us ambition. It taught us the feeling of can-do. It taught us to ignore our circumstance. Our circumstance was we didn't have fully equipped labs at that time. The rehabilitation process was just starting in the East Central State at that time. But the important thing is you have to look back and see what we made out of our lives.
Whatever I've achieved in life, the foundation was laid at Umuahia.
Anybody that is discerning or maybe objective or realistic will tell you that the quality had long departed. The glory of Government College Umuahia had gone many years ago. We can debate when exactly that glory left. But what is clear is that we need to bring it back.
Yes, what went wrong in Government College? I think so many things went wrong. First, ownership changed, and with ownership came new aspirations, which were not the equivalents of the aspirations that the previous owners had. They were also not able to invest in the school because you invest in support of what your own aspirations are. They didn't also go to set up standards and ensure the standards they met were upheld. It was a school where you went through competitive exams to come in, so only the best got into Government College. So many things went wrong. The evidence is the dilapidation of the physical infrastructure, which anybody who goes to Government College, that's the first thing that hits you, that this cannot be where you train men who became achebe, but that's what you see physically. But that's in the past. I think what I prefer to talk about is what we're doing about it, what the Fisher Educational Trust is doing with all the old boys.
The vision for the new government college is twofold. The first part is to embrace our legacy, to capture the legacy of Government College Umuahia. And the second part is to build a Government College Umuahia that is well suited and relevant to the 21st century.
If we don't have a few institutions across the country that can replicate the kind of products that went to Government College when we went there, we are so scared about the future of our country. That is why the Fisher Foundation, we did so much as old boys over more than 20 years, engaging the governments at the federal and state level to hand over this school to the old boys.
A lot has happened. We were determined to be able to build a new school, but you're not going to build a new school on a foundation that was shaky. We were also determined to secure the 90 hectares plus that constitutes the school grounds, to make them safe and contained. We also wanted to be working within the ambit of the law. These things take time, and they are not things that people can see, but they are things that you must necessarily have to do if you're going to set the right foundation.
Job one in terms of our vision, is to make sure that this school will be of the same caliber and the same standard as an Eton today in Nigeria. Which is why, in putting together the group, the consulting group, the advisory group that are working with us to restore the school, I'm happy to announce to the old boys that team includes, as an anchor, a gentleman called Mr. Tony Little, who not only went to Eton himself, but was a principal of Eton for 13 years, and subsequently has become a senior advisor to schools like Eton. Government College Umuahia is extremely fortunate and blessed that he has accepted to consult for Government College Umuahia to restore Government College.
When we started in 2015, regarding the real estate itself, we found there had been a long period of encroachment. The local community felt it was time to take back their land in a way. Officials of whatever capacity thought it was a good place to actually build their homes. And it took a while to convince the government that you have actually signed a contract with the trust to hand over the school. And we insisted, and they were able to go and bring the original site plan, surveyed, and we showed the delineation of the boundary of the school. And where we are now is we are in talks with them, and that's his government, and they're going to help us to retrieve what has been taken away.
And it took time to get Mr. Tony Little. It's one of the things that I consider one of the most important developments in 2019. We just signed an agreement with him and two other colleagues of his in July 2019. The second gentleman working with Mr. Tony Little is a man called Mr. Tony Eisler, who is also a world-class, internationally rated ex-principal of schools similar to Government College, except that he also includes an American background. He ran the American International School in the UK. Both Tony Little and Tony Eisler were consultants and advisors to a group called Global Education Management Systems, GEMS. Now, Global Education Management Systems is the largest provider of private sector education at the secondary school level and maybe even the primary school level in the world.
The next stage, of course, is to secure it. Securing such a large expanse of land is quite expensive, but it's something, again, that we're in talks with the government to see how they can cooperate with us to get that done, because you also need to have security, safety, if you're going to bring young men to that school. So these are the things that we're doing on that side.
In addition to Tony Little and Tony Eisler, we have a gentleman called Sokwinda Bassey. Sokwinda Bassey is the former CEO of GEMS. Just so you know why we got the three of them were the leading consultants within GEMS, because we're going to enter a partnership with GEMS. And the old boys are aware that we had negotiated with GEMS. We're about to reach an agreement with them in 2018. And then the top consultants who are going to work with us within GEMS left. And therefore we decided that it was better to deal with those people, since they're the ones to provide the knowledge and the intellectual capital for restoring Government College, than to deal with GEMS. And GEMS itself agreed that they weren't in a position to provide the services if these gentlemen were not there. The good news is that they've now accepted to work directly with Government College Umuahia Old Boys and the Trust to restore the school.
But if you look at the building itself, there are some buildings of great history. Of course, everybody knows the admin block, very unique building, but it's not the admin block you used to know. So part of what the trust is doing is to source the right kind of people who can help us restore the admin block. It might just become in due course an archival place where we can build an archive in the modern sense, where people can come and learn about the history of the school. These are the kinds of things that we're looking at.
So that's one of the first elements to restore Government College Umuahia as the Eton of the East.
If you look at the laboratory facilities we're looking at, we're asking and challenging our partners that we want to have the best in terms of what is obtainable in equivalent institutions internationally. And that's the challenge we've given to them, and that's the challenge they're actually working very closely with us on.
We are now working with these consultants on 5 different pillars, or what you might call areas. Number 1, we're working with them. There's something called an academic committee that's working with the consultants on developing the curriculum of the school and the vision, the mission, and all those important questions that will make it the Eden of the East. Number 2, we are working on the infrastructure. How do we rebuild the infrastructure of Government College Umuahia so that it is fit for purpose for the 21st century and be in a position of a standard that it would then attract the students to make it the Eden of the East. Number 3 is the finance committee. Now, the finance committee is the committee responsible for raising the funds to implement this transformation project, or what you might call restoration project.
We've been approached by various class groups, which is a beautiful thing, and various individuals, old boys of the school in particular, expressing interest in financing some of these structures. And what we've said to them is that we want to dot our I's and cross our T's and have the figures out. When we have the figures out, we're going to publicize these figures, and we're going to then ask those who have been approaching us and all the old boys to indicate to what extent they can participate.
The 4th committee we have is the People Committee. The People Committee is basically the committee responsible for hiring the principal, responsible for hiring the staff, and ultimately we work very closely with the academic committee to also deliver the students and the actual journey will begin. The final committee is called the Development Committee. The Development Committee, for those of our old boys that live in America, they'll be used to it. Most of the prominent schools or the successful schools in America that have raised successful endowments from their old boys have a development office. That office is responsible for building the infrastructure and making all the investments in the school. It's called development because it's actually developing the institution, but typically using funding from the interested stakeholders, most especially the old boys or the alum of the school, the alumni of the school.
My fellow Umuahians, it's really great pleasure for me to be able to address you. A lot of work has gone into what we've been trying to do for the past 4 to 5 years. More work has gone in than I can express. Where we are now is a very tangible and crucial stage. We wouldn't be able to achieve our ambition, our common ambition, if we don't have your help. We need your trust. We need your help. We need your help to be so wholehearted. Don't hold back in asking questions. Demand to be informed, because that is your right. But I charge you to help us now to build the school. We need to finance the school. We need all ideas that made Umuahia what it was. But I can only assure you that the Board of Trustees would actually be responsible in a very effective way in making our common dreams come true.
Fellow Umuahians, old boys of Government College Umuahia, I have good news for us. I know many of us have waited, longed, and desired to see Government College Umuahia restored and rebuilt and to become even better than the Government College Umuahia we all went to. Our waiting is now over because we have recently reached an agreement with a project team that have committed to work with us to restore Government College Umuahia to not just the Eden of the East, but to the best secondary school that we'll have not just in Nigeria, but in Africa in the 21st century. The good news is that the team that were working within GEMS Africa on this project are the same people we are working with today. I liken the assignment to the assignment undertaken by Nehemiah in the Bible, who in 52 days rebuilt the broken walls of Jerusalem. Government College Umuahia old boys have 52 weeks to rebuild the broken down Government College Umuahia. We can do it because the plan is to restart our alma mater as a great school in September 2020. And I look forward to working with all of us on this exciting project. It will be tasking. We all need to mobilize resources from ourselves, but I believe it will be exciting also because we have longed for this day when we can actually rebuild Government College Umuahia. Thank you for listening.
1, 2, 3.